and today we're talking about why we buy all the makeup. Today is Valentine's Day, and there are two launches that I'm going to be partaking of, and it got me thinking about why we buy makeup, why we buy a lot of makeup in some cases, and why we buy less. So what I want to do today is set up a framework to talk about this, and then just ramble for a while and then call it a day. Go to my day job. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day to those who celebrate. We've had a whole bunch of love collections coming out. We've got the Natasha Denona love palette. We've got the Pat McGrath love collection. The only thing that I was interested in with the Pat McGrath collection this time was the Satin Allure lipsticks that ended up not going to launch until later this month. Today, Odin's Eye is releasing some palettes, and Glamlight is releasing kind of the anti-love palette of Chucky and Tiffany, of Child's Play. And I am picking up some things from both of those launches today. So I was thinking about the general framework. Now, I have a lot of makeup, not because I have a YouTube channel, but I have a YouTube channel because I have a lot of makeup and I enjoy it. And I think a lot about why I buy makeup because there's a lot of different reasons for it. From the very, it's pretty, I like it, to the, I'm stressed out or I'm trying to fill a void in my life. So I was thinking about that as part of the framework is that we buy makeup usually to solve a problem or because someone is selling us a fantasy or a feeling. And it's not always so cut and dried which is which, because sometimes we have a problem and someone is selling us a fantasy to patch over that problem because that's the best we can do at that point in time. Like, it just is. So we'll talk about that. Are we solving problems, or are we buying a fantasy or a feeling? And the other thing is, with all of these things, there's not a lot that's just black and white. And most things run at a spectrum. And the other thing besides the spectrum is that we often tend to attribute good and bad to things. And first of all, we're going to be the only judge of what's good and bad. Nobody's going to look in at our life and say, this is good, this is bad. But what I say by that is no one should have the right to do that. You are the decider in your life of whether something is good or bad. And nobody really knows until, they're walking a mile in your shoes, whether or not something is good or bad. And sometimes, depending on what time of day, what time of your life, what else is going on, can make a decision about whether something is good or bad. Take, for instance, the low buy versus high buy. Right now, low buy does not work well for me at this time psychologically. It puts me right back into, the mentality, the poverty mentality, and that builds up, and then I spend, but not in a good way. At one point in time, the high buy was really good for me to be able to just figure out what do I want and just go, because that did in some ways help this poverty mentality. Right now, a high buy, not a great idea, but as I was talking about before the holidays, there are some times that it's in my best interest not to do a low buy. There's sales. There's a lot of stuff that I want to get or need to get that are on massive discounts that it would, be less intelligent of me not to get at that point in time. There's a lot of double negatives in there anyway. But the idea being that these sort of continuums are always in play, and whether or not something is healthy or feels good to us can change drastically depending on what's going on. And we're the only ones that really know how well our mind feels. Am I feeling anxious and weird Am I feeling compulsive? Am I feeling driven? Am I feeling happy and content? We're the only ones that are going to know if we buy something where our mind was when we did it. And depending on what if we're trying to get over a compulsive, obsessive behavior that's negative to our lives, then yeah, this is where we're at over here on the low buy continuum or the no buy. Or if we're feeling overwhelmed with our collection or what we have or what's being offered. Sometimes there's just so much stuff and so much noise, you got to be like, okay, I just got to turn down the noise. Just got to turn down the volume, go a little bit on this continuum. So anyway, so we're going to talk about it. Now, I think for me, one of the things that stands out to me that I've been thinking about is Amanda over at Makeup Just for Fun talks about whenever ColourPop comes out with a big large set of the Super Shocks, about how she feels like it would be so much fun if she and a group of friends were able to get together and share these. And it makes me think about that sort of element of selling the fantasy. Like, I know that when I was growing up, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and everybody that I knew, I had a brother, and then we had, neighbors that were all boys. And so I was really excited to go to school because I was going to have friends, and I was going to have adventures, and I was going to have, like girlfriends, and it was going to be great. Now, when I got to school, I don't know that it panned out, but I had this fantasy, like, oh, I'm going to have these friends and we're going to do stuff. And I think the part of like, that sort of a fantasy selling is like, this is going to be something that will build community. You're going to get this product and it's going to give you that sense of friends. And in this case, it's like, your friends on the internet, you're buying something, your friend on the internet is buying something, we're going to talk about it, and it's bringing up this sense of community. And it's that whole, not FOMO that we're going to miss out on this limited edition product, but if we don't get this, we're going to miss out on some of that community, on some of the friend building. And that's not nothing. Sometimes people can poo-poo that, but that feeling of connectedness through something can be really important. I actually have a friend, she works in IT, and she does programming, she does all sorts of things like that. But for the longest time in her work, she was only around men. And so she actually became a Mary Kay salesperson so she could meet women friends. So it was one of those things that is like, okay, she didn't really care about the multi-level marketing aspect, and she liked makeup, okay, but it was more like, this is going to be a way to build community that's not weird, because it's that, how do you build friendships with people if they are not around in your daily life? It's kind of weird if you're like bumping into somebody at the, the coffee shop and going, hey, want to go have a friend date? That sounds really weird. So what do? You have hobbies or you have something else, but she chose to sell Mary Kay because she wanted women friends. And I think that's actually really sweet. She and I met I was doing a temp job at where she worked as a receptionist, and she and I met there, and so we became friends. And then I got to witness this as she was starting her Mary Kay business, about all the good friends that she met. So I feel like that makeup in that case was solving a problem for her, but it wasn't what you would think it was. And for some people, it's buying makeup is solving the problem, that you're wanting a sense of connectedness and community, and you're wanting to be part of something. And especially if it's something that's exciting and new, that's kind of a feeling of everybody's getting to ride that wave of excitement. And in the case of YouTube, we get to have that excitement vicariously. Sometimes we don't have to buy the makeup because we get to watch somebody else play with the makeup and have fun with it. So we get that vicarious sense of excitement. Now for me, I like new things. I like fun things. I like variety. And then I also like things that are that I know I can always count on. So for me, when I'm looking at the makeup collection, part of me needs to have that new and exciting and fun, the lure of what's new that I haven't seen before. And part of me in the collection needs things that are really solid that I can count on. Yesterday I was doing a Zoom interview, and I needed makeup that I felt amazing in, but that also read really well on a camera, and again wasn't too blingy. I've discovered that if I have too much inner corner highlight, I look like I'm crying on Zoom. So I needed stuff that was, toned down, but in a color story that would really look good, but not be distracting from my interview. So I really pulled from my collection those sorts of things, which in some way was problem solving. I needed to look good and fresh on camera, but I also needed not to have anything that was too loud and obnoxious and would take away from people seeing my personality as opposed to my lip color, which is maybe the opposite sometimes on YouTube. I'm wanting people to see my lip color and my personality. That's second. But so having both that variety, but also the steadfast, because I know sometimes I'm going to have to throw on some makeup and head out the door, and I need to look good. I want to look good. And then the other being that I want to play and look at the color and have the variety, which may end up not lasting. Like it could be the NRE, the new relationship energy, and I'm really excited about it. I'm loving it. And then as that new relationship energy kind of wears off, I'm just like, well, you're not really that cool. I think we can declutter you. So it's whether or not where things last on that continuum, the solid want to have to the new and shiny, or somewhere in the middle of that. But I think that, we sometimes forget too about with makeup really can solve some physical problems for people. I know from some of the brands that I have followed, they are really working on having pigments that do a good job of concealing color differences or problems with skin, like severe rosacea, that make people really feel bad about themselves or can make them feel bad, or birthmarks or scarring. And this is something that, not everyone thinks about all the time until you have an issue, about how much it can help buoy your spirits, to have makeup that looks good. And I think when we think about those kind of problem solving, if it's not our problem, we don't think about it, but as soon as it becomes our problem, we really oh yeah, of course we need that kind of product in the world. So for me, as my skin's changed, the things that I'm wanting to pick up have changed some in that sense. Theoretically, as I'm getting more wrinkly and strange, that I'm supposed to be heading more towards the cream departments, and sometimes yes and sometimes no. I find that some of my powder products are actually look better on my skin than some of the creams that are out there, and the different ways that color reads depending on what the pigment is, the carrier vehicle for it. So I find that the problem solving for that one, as my skin is changing, has been an issue. But the other thing too, desire. Right now I'm in a place where I love eyeshadow that has a lot of color read to it, a lot of sparkle, a lot of color. And there are some brands that are beautiful on the skin. They look great. They make beautiful, sheer washes of color for eye makeup, but they don't do great payoffs for color. And I think that's why some of the brands, I'm going to take Chanel for just a moment. Like I was almost drawn in this fall with the whole plaid collection with the little pouches, and the embossing. But I had looked at that and I'd looked at swatches, and it just wasn't giving me that super pigmented color payoff that I was looking for. It's very sophisticated, very light wash, but for my desires right now, I was more attracted to the exterior accoutrement as opposed to the interior. This is the makeup that I want. So I wasn't attracted to that. And I'm not saying you always want to use that word at this time, because I'm pretty sure that at some point in time they'll catch me with something. They again almost had me recently with their cheek and eye palettes that came out. But then I looked at that and I came back to the point again. It's like, they're lovely, but I'm looking for something punchier, something, deeply pigmented, something more, in the colorway to be more exciting to me. And so I saw that. I initially just like knee-jerk reaction was like, ooh, I would love that. And then I'm like, would I really? And right now, no. I'm just, I'm attracted to different pigments, to different colorways. And at some point in time, I'm probably going to swing back that other direction. But for right now, knowing my desire, I didn't get them. But if I were just in that knee-jerk reaction to things, the whole I'm feeling stressed or I just want something pretty, I might have jumped at that. But right now, that's not where I'm at. The thing I think gets me a lot is the idea of being curious. I am curious about what this new product is going to be like. I am curious how it's going to look on my skin. I'm curious on how I'm going to feel about it. Because I may be different than other people, even though I might not, but I might. So I'm really wanting to try things and I'm curious about it. And most of the time it's my curiosity that leads me into new brands or new products. And part of it's the scientist in me, and then the other part of it is the, just little kid who just wants to, it's like when you're little, you just want to put everything in your mouth because you're trying to know the world, and then you get a little bit older and it's just like you just wanted all the experiences because your brain's all squishy and learning things. And so I feel like sometimes it pings on that part of me that's just like a little kid that I'm so excited to learn about it. And then some of it is the scientists. What are these formulas? What do they do like? Is this repeatable? And I'll tell you lately, some of the products that I've got have really rang that bell for me. The most recent being the Danessa Myricks, and I think I'll have a video on this. The flush. It's flushed. It's in the yummy skin tint, like the balm powder, and I've been trying that. I was initially pulled in by the balm powder because of Upsolite being an ingredient, and so the scientist in me was very interested in how the Upsolite works. This is from Sweden. It's something that is very moisture absorbing, and I was curious to see how it would work on my skin, because it's some people love it and swear by it. Some people just had a horrible time with it. I do have a video on that one. Is what I found is like it didn't really help my oil, and it didn't really work as a primer if I was going to wear a light coverage because it filled in my pores if it was, I used a colored version of it. But anyway, long story short, I do have a video. But it was a different formula and it totally piqued my interest. How is this gonna work? What does it do? Is it just hype? And so I think a lot of the things I get pulled into is curiosity, because some things I can watch other people do, but then it's like, well, the scientist in me wants to see if I can replicate it. The little kid in me is like, ooh, new, you know, shiny. And the makeup enthusiast is, well, is this going to be a life changer? Like, is this going to be the holy grail? Is this going to make it where, you know, I will disavow all of my blush collection and only use this product? Is it going to make my life easier? Like, I'm just going to take a brush and boop, 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 and I am beautiful. And the thing is, it's like some people you watch and it works that way for them, and other people you watch and it doesn't. And, you know, sometimes I'm an outlier. Like with these blushes, it's like, it was not easy for me to figure out the Danessa Myricks Flushed Blush or the Powder Balm. So it had a learning curve for me. But I kind of like that sometimes. You know, the scientist in me, you know, or the person that likes to work with something to see if, you know, is there something that I can glean for this or master from it where I can be better or have better or do better. And then other times it's like, this is fussy and I'm not at all, you know, if I'm in the I need to run out the door and look good, the fussy factor is not gonna work, you know, like unless I can master this where I then have the skills to use this in its best possible fashion. And that's the part of me that likes skill building, you know, like, can I master this art, this way of using this product? So for me, curiosity is a huge makeup buying reason. And probably after that, there's a little bit of the collector in me. Some of it is I need to have one, you know, I need to have the shining, you know, centerpiece of the thing to have. And then some of it is if I'm feeling a little bit OCD of the collector in me is the Pokemon. I gotta catch them all. You know, I have to have all of the shades. And some of it, occasionally, is because I really love a product so much that having things in a lot of different colors is actually useful to me. There are certain lip colors that I feel that way about. And even then, if a line is large enough, there gets to be colors that don't work for me, that maybe I like to look at them, but they don't really, you know, they're not the most pleasant on my face. So even then, a lot of times I either have to, if I've picked up a lot of things from a collection, sometimes I just need to declutter some of the ones that, you know, it's like they're almost right but not. I don't have a lot of room, the way I have my collection set up, for things to linger that are almost right but not. There's a lot of new stuff that comes in that I want to keep, where it just you can't really maintain that. Now, I did do a video on makeup I bought for other reasons, or items I bought for other reasons. There were some lip care and things like that in that video. But I find that I also buy makeup for strange reasons, for packaging. Like, the packaging just strikes a note in me. The Charlotte Tilbury, the cream bronzer from last year, reminds me of Pirate Treasure, and I love it. And the way I have my collection displayed, it's in the central part of my bronzer row. So it's visible and I can see it and it can make me joyously happy. So the benefit of that is I do like the product. It's a win-win-win. The product is great. I really like it. I like the way it wears. But I love the way it looks. the packaging was perfect. Some things I buy for smell. I bought the Tarte, the base tape that smelled like coconuts, and I just recently decluttered that. But the Laneige sleeping lip masks, there's a number of them. The gingerbread had been my favorite for a long time. I just picked up the mango recently. Those I picked up for the smell of it. And then I have some makeup that I've picked up for the name. The Beauty Bakery, the liquid lip and surreptitious. I picked up for that reason. There's a Lorac that I picked up because it was named Duchess. It was a lip gloss. And there's a number of things that pique my interest or were fancy, my imagination, and I pick them up for that reason. Then there's things that I pick up from certain creators or brands. Like I said, today Odin's Eye is launching, and there's a number of YouTubers that I watch that I'm going to pick up, not only because I watch them, and sometimes we pick up makeup because we're influenced, or we again want that feeling of community. We have somebody that we like and trust, and we want to feel close to them, or we want to feel like we're supporting them, and so we pick something up. And I do feel like that with these creators. They're creators that I really enjoy and appreciate, and I do want to be supportive of their endeavors. But I also am loving the look of the products for the Odin's Eye collection. So I'm completely there. And as far as the glam light, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Chucky. I did have my horror movie phase back in the day. I like the idea of the anti-Valentine's Day, sort of like the love but kind of weird. I kept having the song Love Stinks stuck in my head, and not just any of that, but of course the Wedding Singer, where he is singing his version of Love Stinks. So for Valentine's Day we're having the anti-Valentine in that one, but I like that idea of kind of the dark, gritty horror movie version of the love story. But I liked the colors in the palette. They're all kind of like very sultry, deep, and I'm interested to see them in person. I see swatches. I've seen people now. Yesterday, a lot of the creators who get PR featured them, and now I want to play. Which for Chucky, let's play. But anyway, I want to play in the colors. I want to see what they are, what they look like on my eyeballs, and I'm super excited about that. So I think for me, at this point in time, maybe if I'm thinking about filling the need, I'm needing some excitement and invigoration in my life. Like some parts of my day are very repetitive, and the idea of having something to look forward to, having a launch that's exciting, which this is, gives me something to look forward to. So instead of trying to build out or manufacture things to be excited about, which might be better off for me, if I'm planning a vacation or I'm planning some kind of girls' day or a trip or whatever. But in the meantime, the experience of looking forward to and being excited about a launch is great. It gives me nice feelings of excitement and variety. And also when things have a surprise launch. I'm going to tell you makeup I bought just at about 4 o'clock this morning. The One Size new blush that launched. That's this bubblegum, beautiful pink in the cheek clappers with the cream, the regular, and the more sparkly blush. Sleeping is not my friend lately, and so I happened to be up about 4 and saw that it had launched, and so I hit purchase on my Sephora app, and that should be coming to me by probably Thursday. But anyway, so I bought that because I love the brand. because I really enjoy that particular, the cheek clappers. And I also had that nice surprise of not anticipating it as a launch, but really being excited because, like, ta-da, a surprise. So I'm getting a lot of my feelings provided to me by makeup at this point in time. The idea of anticipation, looking forward to a launch that I know is coming, and also surprise for things that I didn't know were coming, but I'm really excited about when I find it out. So it's like, I'm getting emotions from the makeup industry. And the problem is it all costs money. And if I didn't have the money for it, that would be an issue. I would need to be, okay, how can I regulate this? How can I find other ways to get my desire for surprise and excitement and things to look forward to? How can I get that? How can I get that desire filled or that problem solved in my life without buying makeup? I mean, Charles Barkley, when asked about his gambling, was it's only a problem if you can't afford it. Well, in some ways, that may be correct. The other thing is, am I feeling healthy in my mind about it? Like, even if I have all the money in the world, if I'm not feeling mentally healthy about it, then that's a problem. So I think that's the other judge, is not just can you afford it, but are you still feeling mentally healthy about it? Is it impinging on your life? And is your life healthy? Is your mind healthy? And is it starting to impinge upon that? So the benefit to cost ratio, both cost in money and cost in your mental fortitude, is that benefit to cost ratio still nicely balanced, or is it getting out of whack and we need to do something differently? So for right now, just the realization, people ask, well, how do you, change X? And I think the first thing is just realizing, like, okay, I'm feeling a little sad, and so I'm a little more spendy. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling like, the future is uncertain, and so I'm trying to get some kind of either dopamine to make me feel like woohoo, or something to be security, like I'm petting myself, yes. So some feeling of like we're okay, we're gonna be okay, and we're gonna be okay because I have a new blush. Or I don't know what the world's going to be, but at least I know what a blush looks like. And I know that there's a lot of that. Like, I like to get packages, I like to receive things. My love language is not things necessarily, but my self-love language might include things. So, it's just trying to keep up really with how am I feeling, what's going on in my life. Am I buying something because I want the thing? Am I buying something because I'm trying to, fill the dark hole in my soul, or, I'm laughing, but, that's serious. Like the why of things. Am I needing fun and excitement? And is this a pretty harmless way of providing myself with fun and excitement and a sense of community? Or, like, should I go out and join a bowling league to, for my sense of community? Like, would it be better for me as an individual, to go about it in a different way? And so for me right now, I feel fairly good about where I'm at. My alarm just went off as my maximum safe distance to be ready for work. So I guess that's the ultimate way of saying wrap it up, Monica. So anyway, I told you it would be a long meandering, but I'm looking forward to the makeup launches that are happening today. I will get back with you to show you what I got. And just, to leave things off, we're always trying to do things with our makeup and our makeup buying to solve problems, to get fantasies, to make ourselves feel a certain way. to regulate our life in some way, and like nobody's really going to be able to tell if it's a healthy thing for us but us. And you know, so that's where I'm at right now, and just trying to make sure that I am excited about new launches. I am excited about new makeup. I am getting a big dopamine hit. I completely am aware of that. But you know, I feel okay for right now, but we'll definitely keep you posted. Let me know how you guys are doing, if you're looking forward to something, if you are doing the low buy or the no buy, how that's going. You know, keeping our minds good. We like it. So anyway, hope you have a good Valentine's Day if you celebrate, a good anti-Valentine's Day if you're in the love stinks category, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.